pasa, cracks? ¿Cómo estamos? Lo primero de todo, ¿cómo están los máquinas? Bueno, chicos, último día de la semana de directos. Yo creo que esta semana ha sido bastante bonita, bastante bonita. Hemos empezado el martes con la estrategia DR y DR, que nos sorprendió bastante. Dijimos, ostras, esto como sea verdad, es la bomba. Pero es que ayer, miércoles, cuando empezamos a ver los otros vídeos de The Master, canal muy recomendado, en donde tenía una herramienta que había analizado 20 años atrás este sistema, ya es que me dejó loco, totalmente perdido. Dije, tomé la decisión de decir, bueno, esto sí que lo voy a tener que probar y analizar. Y así que en eso estamos. Os iré contando qué irá pasando las próximas semanas y meses, porque yo cuando cojo una estrategia no la pruebo un par de días y digo, venga, no. Y tampoco la opero, la observo. Y cuando veo que eso va bien, empiezo a tantearla un poquito. Y entonces ya la empiezo a hacer mía. Y así es el proceso que yo suelo asimilar las estrategias. No sé cuál es vuestro proceso para asimilar una estrategia. ¿Cuánto creéis que es el tiempo considerable para decir, la voy a empezar a operar en real? No sé, dejádmelo aquí en los comentarios, en la descripción del vídeo, y así comentaremos, entre otros, cuánto creéis el tiempo prudencial para hacerlo. Bueno, chicos, damos carpetazo ya a la estrategia DR y DR, y ya iremos contando cómo va. Y damos paso a, bueno, nuevo vídeo de Michael. ¿Quién es Michael? Michael Huddleston, el dios del trading, el creador del Smart Money, el maestro del trading institucional, de Inner Circle ICT. Pues claro, chicos, ha sacado nuevo vídeo y ahora vamos a verlo. Así que no podemos faltar a nuestra cita con nuestro queridísimo Michael, el dios del trading. Vamos allá, ICT, de Inner Circle Trader, de Inner Circle Trader, de Inner Circle Trader. Vamos allá. Bueno, chicos, último vídeo de Michael hace 15 horas y se llama ICT Mentorship 2023 ES Market Review 17 de mayo. Bueno, yo ya viendo la imagen de la miniatura sé que es el SP500. Vamos, creo. No creo que ande muy lejos de saberlo. Vamos a poner subtítulos, vídeo de 28 minutos, lo cual iremos dando saltitos porque si no se nos va a comer todo el tiempo. Y además de que se nos come todo el tiempo, ya sabéis que Michael es bastante soporífero. Qué voz. No, un momento. Gente, un momento. Yo le voy a dar el play ahora. Decidme que esta voz, imaginaos, a las 10 de la noche, 10, 11 de la noche, que acabáis de cenar, os tumbáis en el sofá, decís, me voy a ver un vídeo de trading, y escuchar esto.
In the mentorship in 2022 and in 2023 thus far. So we're looking at a weekly chart of E-mini S&P. This is the delivery contract of June 2023.
¿Sí o no? Gente, en serio. Es que yo no sé si lo hace a propósito para que tú te duermas. Yo, ahora ya no, pero había un tiempo cuando me estaba chupando todas las mentorías, yo antes de dormir me ponía el móvil pegado aquí con los auriculares y me ponía a escuchar a Michael. Te os juro que a los 3 minutos estaba ya rocket profundo, vamos, estaba ya en el quinto sueño. En serio. Bueno, gente, vamos a concentrarnos, coger taza de café, papel y libreta y vamos allá.
And I taken your attention to this area up here.
Voy a acelerarlo,
It's also been mentioned in the NASDAQ futures contract. NASDAQ has delivered its respective volume amounts, which is up in here.
Es el SP.
So, this is the area that I believe the ES, or E-mini S&P, is likely to draw up into. So we have technicals that suggest that we might want to get up there. And I've been talking about that this week in Twitter, mentioning that I favored the run on buy side. And I want to tell you why here. We have a discount, fair value gap between this candle's high and this candle's low. This little area in here was delivered twice. And we're consolidating with a weekly imbalance seen here with the volume imbalance. And then buy side here gets extrapolated. We have Powell speaking.
Bueno, básicamente encierra el precio un soporte y resistencia, ¿no? Un fair value gap por arriba, un fair value gap por abajo. ¿No? Prácticamente, ¿no?
Soporte y resistencia. So I'm going to use that as a smokescreen to move price.
Cortina de humo,
also,
soporte.
we have this down close candle again on the weekly chart. The opening price, we're using that. Why am I using the opening price and not the high of the candle? It's because we have a short, stubby little candle wick. So whenever it's like that in respect to the entirety of its range, I'm going to elect to use the opening price. So we're going to be looking for this weekly candle to expand up, maybe reach up into this high here, and then into the weekly volume imbalance. So tomorrow's Thursday, so we'll be looking for Thursday and Friday's action to try to deliver that very thing and repeat pretty much what we've seen in the NASDAQ.
Bueno, yo quiero comentar algo que siempre me es gracioso. El SP500 se ha tirado toda la semana cuando digo, y la semana pasada también, enrangado. Ayer fue el día que hubo más volatilidad. Justo ayer, que le pegó un rally el SP500 de los guapos. Yo creo que ha sido el rally más pronunciado, por así decirlo, desde las últimas 2 semanas de SP500, porque ha ido bailando para arriba, para abajo. Y justo, yo no he visto el vídeo, todavía, justo, creo que Michael la habrá pillado. ¿Qué opináis? Antes de verlo, ¿habrá enganchado todo el rally? Yo creo que sí.
Mindful of this blue shaded area with the order block, these levels are going to transpose into the daily chart. Don't get confused. So here's that weekly order block level here, and that shaded area, which is the weekly discount fair value gap. I mentioned those 2 candles trading as wicks on the weekly chart. That's being shown here with the daily candles. I mentioned on Twitter earlier in the week, I gave a short little vignette video talking about how they imbalance here, which is a fair value gap between this candle's high and this candle's low. And that little section of price action is a fair value gap in the form of a buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. You can see how the market's pretty much been holding inside of that and reaching up into that premium fair value gap I annotated and showed. And we have relative equal highs back here, which is also residing inside of that weekly volume imbalance. So that white shaded area, specifically 42.44 even. I like that as a draw. It may not get there this week, but I do believe we're probably going to reach up into this high here sometime this week before we close. Whether we stay there and move higher or not, that remains to be seen. But right now, they're treating that as a draw on liquidity. So these 2 levels here,
Bienvenido al canal de TradingForex TV Directos, en donde vemos estrategias y analizamos y reaccionamos a otros canales. Si todavía no estás suscrito, suscríbete y activa la campanita para que te lleguen todas las notificaciones. Muchas gracias.
I guess a purplish blue color and the pink, those levels are going to be seen going into the lower time frames. We won't see so much of this anymore after this slide. Okay. So we have the buy side liquidity pool up here, that daily premium fair value gap, and the daily discount fair value gap, and the weekly discount fair value gap. So it kind of gives you the ebb and flow of what the market has been doing and why I've been focusing on looking for buy side to be taken. The buy side I outlined on all these highs here. I mentioned this in a tweet saying that they're not really seeing any runs on liquidity, which means that they're stacking that up. So every time we were going lower, the market's going to utilize this liquidity as a means of offset distribution. So what is it offsetting? The longs that were accumulated at that low, that low, that low, that low, that low, and that low. And you may be looking at these lines in here, these dashed and then the dotted line here. What I've done is created the gradient levels of that fair value gap on the daily chart. The midpoint is that dotted red line, and that's consequent encroachment, the midpoint. Then the lower 25% and the upper 25%, and then the high and the low respectively of that daily fair value gap. And I'm just going to go up one slide again just to take you back to what I'm looking at. It's this area right in here. So if you do this on your own charts, you'll see what I mean by transposing and watching how the levels are respecting that. This is not quarters theory, okay? Invariably, because I draw rectangles to teach the idea, people have unfortunately quoted me or misrepresented me in a manner where it would be viewed as a reinvention of supply and demand. Supply and demand is not what I trade. The rectangles are just to highlight an area for you to study on your own charts. These gradient levels is not quarters theory. Okay, so go study quarters theory and come back and you'll see.
Hanabi Pros dice y decían que soporte y resistencia no servía. Es que lo estaba viendo ahora, digo, soporte y resistencia de toda la vida. De toda la vida,
Here.
Se imponen ante todo.
Up into that premium fair value gap on the daily chart.
De toda la vida.
You might want to come back down just a little bit in here and then I want to see it reprice up.
De hecho, yo he pasado una señal en el canal del
yes, it's a lot of movement, but we got Fed chair pal.
WS30 y andaba muy cerca de la entrada. No sé por dónde andará.
Perpetuate movement. Taking that away and breaking it down to just where it has been, what's it reacting off of,
no me ha
next. That's what I'm seeing right now. So in my mind for tomorrow and on Friday ahead of PAL chairman discussion, that little fair value gap right there. Okay, this
Hostia, nen,
low,
le falta
in the form of a SIBI, sell side and balance, buy side and efficiency. So the market has only offered downside delivery, so
un pip.
to efficiently rebuild and balance.
No me ha entrado por un pip, no me digas. Irá a buscar mi entrada, ¿no?
So efficient price delivery is a pass above
por un
and
pip
below,
no entrada.
or below and above. It's up, down. That's how you reprice and efficiency. Let's go back into this little area here. You can see we have a buy side and balance, sell side and efficiency, which is a fair value gap. You can see we're also respecting that. And also this gap here. So just be mindful of that. I'm not going to keep these specifically on my chart going forward in this lecture, but just have it on yours. Okay, so back into this slide here. We're going to go into greater detail in all of this now. Dropping down into a 15-minute time frame, you can see how the market has respected those gradient levels on the fair value gap. And the way you get this is you drop a fib and plot it on the high and the low of any fair value gap or a gap of any kind. Highlight the 50%, the 25%, and the 75%. And you can set that on your fib settings. And then whenever you draw a range from high to low or low to high, these levels would come up respectively. Okay, and I'll teach more about this as we go into the summer months, but right now this is enough to accomplish the method. So we have the market dropping down here at the opening bell, and we're going to go into great detail here and really refine that to a level of precision that is also, by me doing this presentation here, this is how I tell.
Esta entrada de ayer, esta que está diciendo, ayer en el chat Antonio y yo la estábamos analizando con el DR y DR y daba al alza, justo cuando, pero no llegó a dar, a mí por lo menos, creo que rondaba por esta zona de aquí. No lo supe encajar, pero daba al alza, confirmo.
All my students to go back in old data and backtest. This is my backtesting. It's not using a Forex tester. It's not using market replay. Okay, that's practicing forward testing before going into live data. It's essential. It has its place, but you need to go back and see and study what price looks like in old price moves and go into the great detail of annotating your charts, which I'm showing you here. So this is an answer to everyone asking, can you show us how to backtest, go into the charts and annotate in journal? This is what I'm showing you here. Each one of these are individual slides that I've created and placed into a PowerPoint. So that way, okay, and because you see it so many times, it's like a pseudo experience, and you want to annotate on the charts in these little areas where there's empty space. You want to kind of like cheerlead yourself and mention in annotations that you saw these things coming before it happened. And by retaining that and seeing it in price action in your own annotations and journaling, reviewing that on the weekend, your subconscious retains that information as real experience. And it's a positive reinforcement because you're never adding anything to your charts that is negative.
Venga,
You'll start to see things that repeat over and over again. This is just conceptually showing how the market is at these levels and to what degree in terms of precision. Dropping down into a 3-minute chart, which is how I teach my students. We drop down from a 15-minute chart to a 5-minute chart, and then from 5 minutes down to 1, we refine the time frames until we see our imbalances or the model that we're using. I've been recently teaching my ICT Silver Bullet setup. There's a Twitter space that I did. I introduced it, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago or something, close to 2 months ago, where I outlined it in discussion, like an audio format. There wasn't a video presentation or teaching on my ICT Silver Bullet setup until the video I posted prior to this one here. So whatever video prior to this one, that's the one you can go
Silver
to
Bullet, ha dicho. ICT Silver Bullet. ¿Qué es esto? ICT Silver Bullet. Un momentito. ICT Silver Bullet. ICT Silver Bullet Time Based Trading Model. Hace 3 días. What? Esto no lo he visto yo.
And get more detail about this specific time-based algorithmic setup. The morning session Silver Bullet here is the only one I'm going to cover here, but in passing, you can see it up here. This is the PM session. So we have a shift in market structure here. It trades back up into that fair value gap and drops down to attack sell-side liquidity there. So for your notes and your study, you can use that as your PM session Silver Bullet. But for here, I mentioned yesterday and the day before that I was interested in seeing higher prices on ES kind of catch up with the NASDAQ. And I specifically sent out a tweet with a chart that noted each buy-side liquidity pool that I felt that the market would reasonably run up into and engage that buy-side. This is a little bit more refined with the details here and using the information I already talked about throughout the week. We have a buy-side liquidity pool here. The market drops down at 9:30. This is a Judas swing. It trades down and clears out this short-term low here. And this move here we're going to look at in great detail also. But we have a shift in market structure right above this short-term swing high right there. Then a fair value gap there. And it occurs between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. We're bullish. We've seen the market drop down, and we trade into a fair value gap. This is a Silver Bullet long. Does buying it here, using this candle's low, buying it here and running to that high, does it offer 10 handles? Yes, because 41.40 to 41.30 essentially is 10 handles, and it has yet to meet this high here, which would be above 41.44. Or so the criteria, looking at that as a Silver Bullet, running to that buy side, it offers a range of potential 10 handles. So you can be a buyer there, and let's see if it gets up there. But you want to take profits at 5. And that's how I teach my son Cameron to work with that model. And it does in fact offer it, and then watch what happens once it hits the buy side. It comes right back down and takes up the sell side. So it's offering what? A run on stops. Why would it want to do that? So smart money can accumulate new longs while trailed stop losses get taken out. But what's it trading back down into? That daily discount fair value gap, but more specifically in the upper quadrant, the 75% of that range. Look closer. This imbalance here, when it trades up here, traders that think that this is a liquidity void or something to that effect, they think that it's done here. It's balanced now. It's not. It's not a balanced price range. That's just rebooked and repriced to an inefficiency. That's all it has done. It has not become balanced yet. When the market trades down to the low of that again here and leaves the range, which it does on this candle here, this has now become a balanced price range because price has been delivered to the downside, to the upside, failed to go lower, respected it, and then left the range. So it's acted as a trading range inside of this one micro imbalance on a 3-minute chart. This candle's high here is the very candle low right there. Precisely. It's not one tick short, not one tick off. It's exactly that price. And I counsel you to look at your own price data and you'll see that is in fact the truth. So when you see that, you can trust that if we start to move higher, then we've probably made the low of the day. And that would be down here. And I'll give you more details as we go. Let's take a closer look at that now. So we're down.
Hola y bienvenido a Trading Forex TV. En la página web de TradingForexSP.com encontrarás los distintos servicios de los canales de señales que tendrás disponibles. Solo debes entrar en el canal deseado y encontrarás en la página web toda la información que necesitas respecto a los canales. Aquí podrás encontrar los pasos, distintas ofertas y preguntas frecuentes que te puedes realizar sobre el servicio. Para apuntarte, solo debes seguir estos 3 pasos. En primer lugar, debes realizar el pago mediante Stripe. Se acepta cualquier tipo de tarjeta de crédito. En segundo lugar, debes registrarte al canal, que es donde se van a pasar los análisis y las señales. Para registrarte, debes utilizar el mismo correo electrónico que has usado en Stripe y tu alias de Telegram, sin usar la arroba ni mayúsculas. Y por último, apúntate a la comunidad, en donde podrás realizar todas las consultas que tengas respecto a los análisis u otras cuestiones. Recuerda colocar tu correo electrónico y tu alias de Telegram sin la arroba y sin mayúsculas. Así que, bienvenidos a los canales de señales de Trading Forex TV.
Into a 1-minute chart here, everything being equal, and that balanced price range. You can see the range between 10 a.m. and 11 o'clock, New York local time, always. I want you to take a look at that little area right here on TradingView. At the time of watching real-time price data, generally you're going to have electronic trading hours highlighted, and it would look like this in your TradingView. If you have live data and you paid for that live feed from TradingView, you can toggle from electronic trading hours to regular trading hours and see more detail. So if you click on that, it's going to change it to an option of regular trading hours or electronic trading hours. If you toggle to regular trading hours, your chart would show this. Okay, and this is what I teach, is the opening range gap. Okay, now I taught this to charter members, I taught this to old ICT mentorship students, and this is not something that has been just introduced because other people have talked about it recently. I've been doing this since 1996. So these are things that, they have been there in the marketplace all this time. And while I don't claim the real estate here, as a creator of this, it's just, this is one gap I like to see used. Now, if you take this gap, and I'll explain what I mean by that. The closing price, the previous session, and where we open at 9:30, that is the opening range. If there's a gap and we gap higher and we're bullish, this is how you use the information. You expect price to trade down to it, reprice to the gap, and then go higher. Move away from the direction of the gap after it fills. If we are bearish and we see a gap like this, then it could become a trade lower, fill the gap, consolidate, false run, and then break lower. Or if we're in consolidation and we have already met some higher time frame weekly objective and we have a gap higher like that, then what can happen is once the gap fills, nothing happens. It just uses this entire gap throughout the day. But because we've been bullish, as I highlighted yesterday, it's a gap higher.
Sí, esto lo vimos en otro vídeo anterior.
El
tema de los gaps.
Gap low, which is where the session
Las
closes
cotizaciones que van rondando a lo largo de la semana. Vimos en especial el de la semana.
You'll see that separation here. So what's hiding is all the electronic trading from where it traded yesterday at 7 to where we opened at 9:30 opening bell in New York local time in New York. So that difference there is going to be sometimes shown as a gap. It could be a gap higher like we see here, or a gap lower, or it could be unchanged. We would like to see a gap of some kind because a gap always creates an inefficiency, and inefficiencies are many times, not always, many times repriced too. And how we use that information is paramount going forward. What I teach, this is something that's unique to me. This gap, once it's completely repriced, then if we're bullish, we can take that gap and do multiplications of that and project it higher. So if you take that range from the low to the high and you multiply up, you can get 2 standard deviations, which essentially gets us real close to the high without even needing that premium fair value gap that's in the pink area. Okay, look at the respective of that premium fair value gap I've highlighted. I mentioned this again on Twitter beforehand in tweets. So just go back and look at the stuff I put up. I didn't put very many tweets up this week. Go back and look at them in a little short vignette that I talk about, for imbalances and where everything is trading and such, and then look at it on your charts. So in terms of my power 3, the daily range was shown at the opening at 9:30. It trades down, which is a Judas swing. Traders that are retail traders, they'll chase that move going lower because they're not aware of that inefficiency between regular trading hours and how the electronic trading hours are hidden when you look at a chart like this. There was trading, but now we're met with an opening range at 9:30. So that opening bell, which is all the volatility that initially comes in the marketplace, is usually this type of function where it seeks to reprice to the previous session's close. So we see that here, it drops down, creates the low of the day, and then starts to trade higher. As soon as we meaningfully move above the opening price here on this type of day, which would be really essentially swinging above this, then the market does what? It really starts to run higher for a premium. What premium? The premium fair value gap that's shaded in pink at the beginning of the video. I take your attention from higher time frame down, so that way you can keep track of what I'm looking at and how it's salient. So essentially what we're looking at here is my power 3 concepts, which is the open, manipulation, accumulation of longs, distribution into a premium, and then settle at the day close. So power 3 is being shown here. The daily range is a classic ICT buy day. The Judas swing to reprice the opening range gap low, which is down here. Also a daily fair value gap consequent encroachment confluence. That means that the midpoint of that daily discount fair value gap, which is here, it trades down into that. Additional credit if you want to go into your new day opening gap. And I did a video presentation about that on this YouTube channel just a few videos back. Go watch that, and you'll see how you can use the new day opening gap also as a confluence of this low as well. So many factors of why it went down here. A trader that uses retail logic would not be able to see all these confluences that I'm showing you here. And then a draw to buy side liquidity that was shown in Twitter on May 16th, which was yesterday of 2023. And then the high of the day was booked at the daily premium fair value gap high. And when you have all those details, over here, there's your high, there's your low, all these details coming in together, making a beautiful tapestry of how the algorithm itself prices, reprices, redelivers, balances, and then seeks new liquidity. That is essentially what you're doing when you're trading with my concepts. You're seeking what the algorithm is likely to do, move higher or lower. Why should it go higher? For an inefficiency, or to take out buy stops. If it's trying to move lower, why is it going down lower? It's going down to trade to an inefficiency, or take out sell stops. If it's not going to do either one of those, it's going to consolidate and range bound and frustrate traders, which is what we've been basically seeing for a number of days now, and weeks really, if you want to be dogmatic about it. So there's a lot of detail in a back testing procedure. Okay, and you go through and you use all these little areas over here and you fill in your observations. And you want to kind of like cheerlead yourself and talk about look how the market respected this silver bullet, which is a fair value gap on the 3-minute chart, but we're watching a 1-minute chart now. So all those things that was annotated on the 3-minute chart was transposed to this 1-minute chart. You want to include everything that you see and observe. Everything. And that way you'll have more detail in your journal instead of just showing some charts and maybe a scribble here and a scribble there of useless information. You really want to make this kind of like a meditation. And yes, it takes a lot of time. Yes, it takes a lot of work and effort to be organized, to have your charts mean something to you. What you're doing is you're writing the most important, useful trading manual that you'll ever read. And you're doing it with your own eyes, your own experience, your own annotations, your own charting, your own snapshots of each individual chart and each individual respective time frame. There's no better trading book or journal or instructional manual on price action than what you're going to be creating by doing this. And that's why it takes time, months. Okay, and the more work and effort you put into it, the better you're going to be at reading price action. This is the secret part of the recipe here. Every one of my profitable students did these types of things. They went back and looked at old moves. They studied them. They looked at them and they looked at all the details, what time certain things occurred, what time did it reprice to the high or low of the day, and study that from a higher time frame. Sticking with a bias, looking at why should a price move run to a higher low? Why should it move higher? Why should it move lower? And sticking with that narrative. And then going through your charts with that mindset and looking at all the opportunities that present itself over time. Individuals that go to work now with their practice or their profession, degrees and studies. You can't lose. You don't want to do that in your annotations.
Bueno, gente, la verdad, un vídeo bastante largo para... Si deseas hacer los mejores cursos de trading, no olvides pasar por nuestro apartado de tienda. Aquí encontrarás nuestros 2 cursos avanzados, curso de trading con Fibonacci y el curso de trading institucional. En cada uno de los cursos encontrarás la explicación de lo que vas a aprender en las próximas clases. Donde aparece el temario del curso, podrás ver un PDF en donde se explica todos los temas y todas las clases que aprenderás. Además, actualmente tenemos campañas en donde el curso te puede salir de forma gratuita si te das de alta con nuestro broker afiliado. Si quieres más información o quieres adquirir este curso, únicamente tienes que añadirlo al carrito y realizar tu registro en la página web. En breve nos pondremos en contacto contigo para darte las instrucciones de cómo puedes empezar tus clases. No te lo pierdas. Yo creo que un concepto bastante sencillo, pero bueno, más que una mentorship, bueno, ha explicado varias cositas, ¿no? Está bien, porque ha analizado desde el principio, te ha dicho, sí, el soporte de resistencia, sí, se ha dicho a través de un fair value, te lo pasa de semanal, luego te lo baja a diario, te marca las mismas zonas que él estaba observando y trabajando, te marca, pues sí, el soporte y la resistencia, ¿no? Y una vez marcadas esas zonas, pues bueno, busca la mejor oportunidad, ¿no? Está bien porque te ha descrito toda esta zona de aquí, que es lo que se estaba buscando el precio, ¿no? Todo este rango de aquí, cómo lo podías trabajar, pero el momento oportuno y guay ha sido este, ¿no? La mejor oportunidad, ¿no? Que te podía dar para sacarle partido buscando esa zona de arriba, ¿no? Que es lo que estaba explicando, lo que estaba explicando. Y bueno, argumentando todo esto. Luego, en concreto, esta operación de aquí, pues ya te la he explicado, ¿no? Pues tenías ese gap, tenías esa liquidez que toma, luego el equilibrio del precio, etcétera. Bueno, bastante bien, pero bueno, yo creo que se podía haber operado con más simpleza, ¿eh? Y el pedazo de SMT, brutal. Esa no la había visto yo, la SMT, no la había observado. De todas formas, buen vídeo. Yo creo que podemos aprender una vez más de lo que explica Michael. Ha añadido varios conceptos a tener en cuenta en esta operación en concreto. Es lo que dice él, que bueno, ves anotando tus operaciones y todo tu diario de trading, ¿no? Y lo podrás ver con tus propios ojos, que lo que explica pues está guay, ¿no? Bueno, pues buen vídeo. Vamos a darle su like. No es el mejor de sus vídeos, pero me ha gustado bastante. Bueno, gente, estaba viendo, bueno, vamos a terminar el vídeo, dejarme hacer la despedida, así que buen vídeo de ICT, Mentorship 2023, Market Review de 17 de mayo con el SP500, una operación que ayer quise coger y no cogí. No vi esto, no lo vi. Yo tengo que reconocer que no vi este punto en concreto para entrarle, ¿eh? Antes de irnos vamos a nuestro vídeo, Ahmad. No, todavía nos vemos. Vamos a ver un vídeo más. Y vamos con él. Porque ha hablado del Silver Bullet. ICT, Silver Bullet. Y vamos a ver qué es, porque voy a buscar un vídeo corto para que nos introduzca un poquito qué es esto del ICT Silver Bullet. Porque de hecho, ICT Silver Bullet, lo he escrito bien. De hecho, hay vídeo del propio ICT. Es que voy a ponerlo aquí porque no sé por qué la búsqueda me la ha arrojado distinta. Está del propio Michael. Vale, rápidamente, déjame ver un poquito. Porque pasa que estos vídeos se enrollan mucho. Vale, aquí da toda la explicación. Bueno, gente, si pongo otro vídeo hoy de Michael, creo que entonces sí que me dormiré. Déjame ver si hay algún vídeo en plan 3 ICT Explain Silver Bullet Strategy. Vale, vamos a verlo. Yo sé que la de la mano de Michael está guay. 80% de... Oye, hay muchos vídeos de Silver Bullet, ¿eh? Silver Bullet, JC Capitals. A ver.
Between 10 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock in the morning, there is a fair value gap that will reach for inefficiencies or liquidity. That happens every day. Every single day that will form. Between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, every single day, every single trading day, there will be the same type of setup. So there's your PM silver bullet. True to form, I always tuck them in real deep in these lectures because the weak ones won't listen. They'll watch the people that want to make the 5-minute trainers. And they'll miss all the stuff that goes around that supports it. But the idea of fearing a missed move, there's no reason to fear that. How many, here's a question for you folks, listen.
Oye, esto tengo que ver un poquito mejor, ¿eh? El vídeo de Michael son 20 minutos, que creo que este sí que habrá que verlo tranquilamente. Creo que he visto un vídeo de 3 minutos, lo voy a poner rápidamente así para introducción. De Backtested ICT Silver Bullet Strategy, 1 hora, la Virgen Santa. ¿Dónde he visto yo el de 3 minutos? ¿Dónde he visto yo el de 3 minutos? He visto uno de 3 minutos. Uno de 3 minutos para ver un poquito de qué va y no quedarme con las ganas. 1 hora, a ver. ICT Silver Bullet Trade Explained in full. 18 minutos. No, para eso me voy a ver el de Michael. Que el de Michael lo veremos, ¿eh? No es que no lo quiera ver, pero quiero uno corto. De rápido. ¿Este cuánto dura? 7 minutos 17. He visto yo uno de 3. Sirve de cómo usar el ICT en español, de Money Maker. A ver este. Oh, la música toda, hostia. Vale, ¿sabéis qué, gente? Pues lo vamos a dejar aquí, gente. La verdad, me voy a reservar para el próximo día. Tengo un poquito la cabeza hoy que me explota con tanto sistema DR y tal. Así que os voy a dejar con las ganas. Semana que viene, martes, de 8 a 9, vamos a ver el modelo de Silver Bullet de ICT. Por aquí dicen que el 80% de acierto. Bueno, ya con la del 88 y con la del 80 ya vamos sobrados. Entonces, no necesitamos más. Así que, gente, lo vamos a dejar aquí por hoy. Revisión del último vídeo que ha publicado Michael, que fue ayer. No tiene ningún otro nuevo. Estamos al día de los vivos que ha hecho Michael. Y lo vamos a dejar aquí. Hoy es jueves, vamos a descansar, mañana viernes, último día de la semana. Por cierto, recordar que los lunes y los viernes es los mejores días para operar la estrategia de DR y DR. Así que mañana estamos atentos a ver cómo la podemos enganchar, pero bien enganchada. Venga, va, a ver si la acertamos. Ahora sí, gente, nos vemos semana que viene. Un besito. Chao, chao.